Oh, yeah.
Welcome, everyone. Bless and love to everybody joining us here today. I see a lot of familiar faces down in the audience. God save the
Can you hear me?
goat.
Can you hear? Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, finally. Okay, we
Oh,
got it.
It's always something. It's my fault.
all good. All
Welcome,
good.
welcome. Very nice to have you,
Uh,
sir. How are you doing?
I'm good, and I'm stoked to be here. Thank you for inviting me to participate. How's everybody
Very
else doing?
excited to be. We are very excited to chat with you. I was so surprised to saw that response to your artwork. I was so impressed. Congratulations, man! You broke all the Gazette records.
Nice, glad to hear that. I really like the piece myself, which I wish I could say about all my work. Um, so the response was cool. So yeah.
Thank you, man. Let me pass it over to DJ and let's start.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Fred. Michael, great to have you. I'm a huge fan of your art, and I knew you'd do a good job on the Artdrop, but you definitely exceeded expectations, and we could see it in all the people buying the Gazette and claiming your Artdrop this week. So it's
Very
awesome,
cool.
and it's very cool.
Yeah.
But I just want to give everyone in the audience, well, one, I want to give them a shout out. Thanks for joining. If they're aware, there's a giveaway. I'm going to pin the tweet that you can retweet to win either a Cyber Bandit or something out of my personal collection. We'll do that drawing later towards the end of the spaces, we'll get right into it with Michael here. So Michael, I've listened to a couple podcasts where you've been interviewed, so I feel like I know you already, but the other folks here probably don't. So
Cool.
I'll kick it to you, and why don't you just like start off telling us about like your journey and how you became an artist? I mean, like, and obviously you for folks that don't know, like you're pretty successful in the physical world, and NFTs came later. So we'll talk about all of that.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I've been immersed in art like my entire life, as far back as I can remember. I've always sort of identified as an artist, as a little kid all the way up, So I've just been fully focused on that aspect of growing my skills in terms of drawing and rendering and painting and whatnot. So originally, I'm from Dallas, Texas. I live there currently, but I've worked my way all across the U.S. Um, uh, Went to art school in middle school, high school, and got my BFA in studio painting at the School of Visual Arts in New York. And then after that, I worked. I was super lucky. It was a very pivotal point for me. Major reason to underscore it. The moment that I graduated college, I scored a job working at a place called Icon Murals here in Dallas. I had moved back to Dallas from New York, and so I was pretty much an apprentice under these guys. Collectively had about 40 years of experience, and just it took the place of a master's degree for me. And I didn't even ever find the desire to seek out a master's degree or a master's program. They really honed in a lot of my skills and showed me and opened the door for a bunch of older techniques and whatnot. So really just broadened the breadth of my skill sets and whatnot. So that's exactly what I was hoping to do. And literally, and it was like 5 days after moving back to Dallas, I heard about an opening. I contacted them, scored the job, and I worked with them for like 6 years or so. So pretty much at the end of that, my own personal painting career started to kind of gain traction, and never really looked back from there. I've been a full-time artist for about it's hard to say exactly when I would claim that label, but probably 2014ish until to current, and that's my story.
I love it, man. I want to go back to the childhood. I heard a great story about you. Like you saw a friend drawing something when you were just a kid.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Oh yeah, there's a very, and this really does actually kind of show how far back my interest in learning how to draw and render things goes back. I think it was like fifth grade or maybe like before, or not fifth grade. Sorry, it was like pre-K, so I was like maybe like 5 years old or so. So like way far back, and it was like daycare and. Is where it all kind of like occurred, and it was a friend of mine who also like really enjoyed drawing, which all kids do, so there's like nothing new there, but like he slid over this drawing of a Hot Wheel car that we both were drawing, and up until that point, my whole perspective of drawing was like super 2D, like just the side of the car, like super flat. And he slid over this drawing where you could see like the roof and the hood, and like there's some perspective. And I'm sure if I looked at the drawing now, I'd be like, man, that's super crude and rudimentary, but it literally blew my mind. Like I asked for it. I remember showing my dad that stuff. Like it just opened up my whole understanding of like perspective. Back in the day, my mom would like take us to the library a lot because she liked to read books and whatnot. So like I'd always end up in the art section looking at the different like how to draw books. So like that just took me straight into like perspective. So at an early age, I was like really starting to understand like, 1, 2, 3 perspective, 3-point perspective, drawing and rendering. So like that was just a crazy moment for me. I'll never forget it.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously made a huge impression on you. That's
Totally.
an awesome story. I love that. You said all kids draw, and I think that's right, but I don't think many draw well. So
right. Exactly. I mean, to have that kind of that drive and interest in it on just a slightly heightened level is what separates the kids, that are focused and having fun and pushing paint around and making a mess and have just literally enjoying themselves, versus the ones that are like trying to take the world that's around them and bring it onto this surface. And like that's pretty much when the journey kind of just kicked off, and like really seeing the things in life like in real time, and trying to find a way to like take in that information and convert it onto a flat 2D sheet of paper was the challenge, and I mean it's still a challenge till this day. If you don't keep this sword sharp, it's you're like, wow, I really forgot how to render, or like if I had to go do like a figure drawing class right now, it would suck. Like it would like, oh my god, it would like come out looking like a cyber bandit or something.
I don't think that would suck, but it would definitely be better than anything I could do. I'm glad we're recording this because I'm going to play this back to my son, who's almost 3, who loves pushing paint around when he's a little bit older, so he can get that drive.
Yeah, cool.
What? So, like, I know from there you went into art school, and you pretty much like studied art, throughout your childhood, from what I can tell. Is that
Well, there
right?
there was like another sort of like pivotal moment, when I was really really young. My first grade instructor, her husband was like an oil painter, like landscape and whatnot, and he would do like give private lessons and stuff. And so she, my instructor, she always saw like what I like my skills, and like I was a little bit better than the other kids in the class, etc. And always had me like drawing stuff on like the chalkboard for the class or whatever. So they approached my parents and was like, hey, we're doing these lessons. Like Michael's like pretty young. We don't really do this, unless like they're in like high school or something. But like we're curious to see how he'll like respond to maybe some oil painting lessons. And to be completely honest, it was really overwhelming for me. I remember it. And like I was just a little too shy and introverted, and like the focus on me and like what I was doing was a little too much. So I didn't really like stick with it too long. But to be introduced to like a canvas, and I remember I painted a bird out of a encyclopedia, and just to go through that process of sketching it with the charcoal stick, and then trying to mix up some paint, with oil, and it probably had like some paint thinner. I'm like, 10 or whatever, like Huff and paint thinner, but it like I don't know how impactful it was, but there's no way it didn't have some sort of impact. And then soon after got accepted into an arts academy for middle school and an arts magnet for high school. So yeah, just really going through all the steps of like learning all the different like traditional fundamental, methods of drawing and painting. So I definitely have a strong foundation with all that to kind of, work from and work on top of.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. I mean, just to have those opportunities as a kid. I mean, I can only imagine being in first grade and having that kind of like intense experience. Obviously, made an impact and set you on this course. I before we get you out of childhood, though, I want to talk about some of your graffiti roots. I'm a big street art fan, and it sounds like you had some fun with trains in your time in Dallas.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
this was what I was going to ask. He didn't vibe with the oil painting, but maybe he vibed with the spray can.
yeah. No, totally. I think, I think you're dead on with that. Because I was introduced to so many aspects of like traditional academic kind of style, painting and drawing, all the very basic things. Like here goes a still life. We're gonna sit here with charcoals and we're gonna like draw this. It was cool, but it wasn't as exciting or anything like that as you would think, obviously. But growing up in a decently large city, definitely had some urban influence and stuff driving around the city, and I started to spot graffiti and whatnot. And as I got into high school, the area of Dallas that I grew up in, I had to take the train in to downtown to the Arts Magnet. So like that's when everything just shifted. All of a sudden my parents aren't dropping me off at the front door and the whole thing, and like just got into so much trouble. I mean, I was painting graffiti at like 7 a.m. like, on like a Tuesday. It was crazy. So yeah, that like that was probably one of the first things, honestly, besides just art in general, that I was like truly addicted to. Like I couldn't focus on school. I couldn't do anything. Like all I wanted to do was like practice my tag, like on some sheets of paper over and over again in the room. It's like just there was something very powerful about the process of graffiti as well. It was very different than all the other methods of art that I had learned. Like and though like that process of creating like a graffiti piece is very much apparent and current and present in my current work. I definitely pull from what I learned from that era of my life for sure, and use it till this day.
No, that definitely shows. So what were you graffitiing? You mentioned a tag. Did you do anything beyond tagging?
Yeah. I did. Mostly was focused in like letters and whatnot, like funky colors and sort of like letter distortion and like that whole thing. But I definitely painted a lot of characters as well, and which that bled over into all kinds of other elements as well. And even my work in high school, like the paintings and stuff, like I mean I think that like the fusion of the styles started all the way back to then. Like my instructors definitely were probably like, this kid's definitely doing graffiti. I mean, I got in trouble so much. I was so bold, like I didn't really see the ramifications of getting. I was like so brazen with it, and it really became a problem, and I had to kind of like make a decision to like kind of back off. Or it's like, are you going to go to college or what? Like I missed out on like a bunch of like scholarships and whatnot because like my academic scores had dropped so bad. So kind of I had to put it down. I mean, and even then, to underscore that again, like I couldn't, like I went to school at SVA in New York, and I was just like right back at it. I'm like over through some like train tunnels and waking up late for class. It's just like, and then I finally was like, I gotta like, what's the focus here? Either I'm gonna just graffiti, which is totally fine. I know the raddest graffiti writers around, and they've made careers out of it, and they're I love their work, but like I opted to kind of shift and bring my focus back to illustration and fine art painting.
I love that, man. Yeah, no, I have all the respect for our street artists and graffiti. I was able to go to the Museum of Graffiti in Miami at Art Basel last year.
Nice.
It's like amazing history there. Like I didn't know, like I was a kid in the 80s. I didn't know like how persecuted it was and like how bad the government went after, a lot of these artists. So glad
Yeah,
you
definitely.
escaped, made it out of Dallas okay. I will tell you, I also lived in Dallas ages 4 to 8. And it made a big
Oh, nice.
impression on me. I still have family there. I'll have to talk to you about that. But
Okay, cool. Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I think Dallas is underrated as far as like an art center. Like Texas doesn't have like the best reputation in the art scene, I'm
Yeah,
sure. But like
definitely.
Dallas is a pretty contemporary city. I mean,
Yeah,
I was
but
there.
Texas is on the map now with Marfa.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Texas is large too, so you could talk about Dallas and Houston and Austin like as if they were states themselves almost. They're so spread out and spaced from one another. So I agree though, like especially Dallas, in my opinion, has like some of the like highest level of contemporary collections and museums. Austin and Houston as well, of course. I think that the biggest setback, in my opinion, for Dallas, I can't speak on Austin or any of the other cities, but Dallas just like really seems to be focused on the blue chip standard contemporary style of work.
Mm-hmm.
All the money is being funneled into that from the city and collectors. There's some of the largest collections, like private collections of contemporary art, are here in Dallas. I've seen them. I used to work at an art handling company, so it's just tough to try and get that type of focus and appreciation to shift out a little bit outward to urban contemporary. Like I consider myself a contemporary artist. There's like an urban spin on it, to find that, to be a little just as valid as some of these other artists that are in that on that blue chip level is the challenge. And I can't really say, the galleries that support my style of work are definitely lacking in Dallas, and that's why I don't really have any Dallas shows planned. And I'd really like to change that up.
There's
Yeah.
also a wave of people going out of California and into Texas a lot.
Oh yeah, that would be I would be one of them. I'm from Dallas originally, so I'm not saying that the plan wasn't always to come back, but I was in LA for a while and definitely saw the benefits of not being so in competition with other artists for specifically art space, like studio space. It's like a crazy challenge to score a decent space, and like that was my number one reason for moving back to Dallas, as well as seeing family and stuff, of course. But the way that I make work is, it's very much built out. There's a lot of wood layering and cutting, wood and assemblage, and many times my paintings aren't even vertical on the wall for like the first 2 to 3 weeks of me working on them. So I need square footage just as much as I need wall space. And that was becoming a huge problem for me in LA, like massive. I was working on top of myself, like, having to move things around in the studio like nearly every day just to free up another spot to do this other thing. And now I have a, 2,800, 3,000 square foot studio with, like a spray room and a wood shop room, and everything's like separated and contained, and I can keep things clean from the finished out paintings that I'm working on, where like that wasn't the case in LA. And I'm not paying a whole lot more. Like, so, the exodus from California to Dallas was definitely 100% focused on trying to do that so that I could ramp up my practice and push for bigger and better work. If I'm being limited within like the literal space of my process, how do I expect myself to reach the true potential of my work? So I agree with what you're saying about everybody moving from California for their own reasons, of course. So like there's an influx of population here in Texas from people from all over too. So it's a bustling city. Where my studio is now, the whole area is just getting, fully ramped up and built out with new studios and whatnot. So it's an
Where,
exciting time.
what neighborhood is that?
It's just outside. It's in West Dallas. It's just out, like just next to Trinity Groves.
Okay. Yeah, so I was out there in November, ostensibly to visit family, but I brought my previously mentioned 2-year-old with me, and
Uh-huh.
I took him to the Contemporary to see the Shepard Fairey exhibit.
Sick.
Yeah, it was really good. I'm trying to brainwash him from an early age. If you haven't picked up on that,
Yeah, I'd love to be able to one day have a show there. They always put on some really great, museum level retrospectives and whatnot. So one of the representatives of the Dallas Contemporary actually came through the studio the other day. So like our art community over here is like great. One of the main guy running it, he's been doing a great job trying to like do exactly what I was talking about Dallas lacking in, and he's really trying to put eyes on the art community and actually see like, hey, you don't have to just bring artists in, like they did Shepard Fairey. It's like you don't have to do that. Like there's incredible artists in Dallas. So
yeah,
big,
I mean, like Texans like to brag about Texas, so let's get some Texas artists up in there.
yeah, and I'm definitely about bringing in other artists as well. Like there is, I would say, Texas is definitely maybe a little too much support, a little overly supportive of their locals and stuff. It's like, like where's the mural festivals at that are bringing in like the big outside artists? There's a mural festival here, but it's small and it's underfunded, and there's, how do you expect to lure in some of these big street artists that would definitely turn out a huge event, and like it doesn't happen here. So I'd love to help with that, but I'm busy, what I'm saying?
You are busy. Well, so you talked about needing space and your process. For those that aren't familiar with your work, why don't you tell us, like, your physicals? I know like materials mean a lot to you.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, I think you're dead on with that. Materials are extremely important for my work. Whenever I'm chatting with other artists and stuff, I always bring up that I think that the first thing that viewers see with my work, they quickly identify with the imagery, like the character or whatever scene I've got going on in the image, maybe a narrative of some sort. But for me, like 100% before I even get to the image, I'm focused on materials. I'm focused on material combinations, color combinations, the surface, and the imagery is more so. It's more like a placeholder in a way for me. Like I feel like I could literally make an abstract painting and do exactly what I'm doing. Just remove the literal figurative image, if that makes any sense, in terms of like what's important to me in terms of what my process is. And so like most recently, that's the past few years, my work is really, began to kind of focus in on, super layered, like literal layers, like of MDF and found wood. And when I say MDF, that's a specific kind of wood for folks that don't know. It's a medium density fiber board, which is what MDF stands for. So there's no grain, and so you can really like finish out some really clean shapes. And it looked as though it was maybe like milled out of, it was cut out of plastic or laser cut out of some sort of super artificial piece of material. And it's wood, and I can use wood glue and glue it to another piece of wood, etc. So, the pieces though, they get pretty heavy. I had a solo show last November at a Loosh Gallery in New York, and thankfully, I can, again underscore thankfully, I've brought my career to a level where I'm at a gallery where they're helping me get my work packed up and shipped to them, and not on my dime entirely. I wish I could say that about a lot of other galleries. But these works get pretty heavy, and very, very dense. And so needing legitimate crating, people that know what they're doing to handle them. I'd say, your basic like maybe like a decent medium size, like 5 foot tall piece could easily weigh 100 plus pounds.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
So your collectors of your physical art, like they hang this like on their walls. I'm just trying to imagine how this works. Obviously, they hang it.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. I mean, they are paintings, but they're very physical. They're very, again, layered pieces. Hard to describe, without having like, literal examples to reference. But, they are heavy, but like every one of the pieces, like I was saying previously, like they're flat for a while. And then when they go vertical on the wall, for me to finish out areas, like I hang them on a very beefy cleat that's anchored to one of the walls, one of the open spaces. And so like they hang for, the duration of them in being in my studio. So like I get to fully test out that everything's built out and safe. I definitely don't want to get an email or a phone call about how like a painting fell off and killed their 3-year-old. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to be able to sleep well at night, So I've definitely honed in my craft on that. I will also say that I've, with the years that I put in working like this, I have actually been able to reduce the weight quite a bit. They used to be even heavier.
oh, well.
But what's funny though is like right now I'm not even working on wood. I'm working literally on canvas. So I'm not afraid to. I mean, my galleries probably are like, oh my god, like he's shifting it up again. But like I'm not afraid to do that, like because I feel confident in my style. I feel like I can. I'm not saying like I'm gonna full on derail and go down this other path, but like I'm again back to the material that has everything to do with the surface that I'm working on. So like if I'm becoming overly confident working on wood panels and working with wood, there's no space within that process for the cool stuff to happen. If I have too much control over that process, there's no way for the nice unplanned elements to kind of like trickle in. And I really like to harness those. Like I've definitely over the years, like, I try to keep my eye out for that while they happen, or even if I can't utilize them in that particular piece where I discover something in real time, I'll do my best to sort of like store and log that moment, somehow, some way, a photo with like a little note or something. And then I'll try to get back into it. And that's exactly where these paintings on canvas are. So I was working on this huge solo show last year. Everything was huge, heavy blocks of wood. And by the time I finished that body of work, I was already mentally where I'm at right now, like wanting to work on canvas, investigate these other materials that aren't on wood, and really push myself to challenge myself. And let me tell you, like, man, like the revert back to a single plain surface of canvas is just an unbelievable shift in challenge for me. It's weird how comfortable I got with my layering. I didn't even really realize that there was so many little individual crutches that I started to kind of develop. And again, things started to feel a little bit determined or, safe. And I'm not all about that really. So trying to push it, and I'm excited about this next show. I have another show at the Loosh, but at their LA gallery in October. So nice. I'm already working on that stuff. And I'm not saying that I'm pulling fully away from the wood material. Like I definitely have plans for that as well. But like I think I'd really like to have an exhibition that has a full scope of materials. Works on canvas, and some of the pieces I have are like literal assembled blocks of color and stuff. Found pieces of wood, or maybe it was something that was left over from one of my other pieces. And like I assemble this, what I call block patterning. And, by going that process, like, just kind of like keep things open in that type of process.
Yeah. I mean, like, I love that. You said quite a few things that I think have resonated with other artists that we've had here. And, that's continuing to push your style and evolve. And you mentioned like, capturing something in the moment, taking a photo. And, I think that's just amazing, like to be working on a wood piece and like you see something and you take a picture of it and you incorporate that into your process, and how you're evolving that. So that's really fascinating. Um, I, I think it's talking about the heaviness of your some of your pieces and the wood is a good segue into your digital art. And I did want to
Right.
pin up to the top. Well, first off, for folks in the audience, one, we've got the giveaway tweet. It's the first one up there. Make sure you follow us and retweet that. You'll be entered. But also the third tweet is of Goliath, which was your first one-of-one auction of an NFT, and that the winner of that also was entitled to get a physical piece. So maybe you could tell us about that. I bid. I did not win. I'll be honest. I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter. But yeah, why don't you talk about Goliath a little bit?
I mean, I've been meaning to do a one-on-one NFT auction for a bit. And I didn't. I think I was waiting around for like the right sort of marketplace that wanted to, allow me to do my drop, and maybe we could like co-promote the event, etc. And it's just there's so much like gatekeeping within this space, with this type of thing. Like regardless of how successful I might be in the physical art realm, they're like, who are you? You know what I mean? Like, so you got to go through all the same hoops, which is fine. I'm not saying it, but the delay trying to get these things kicked off in a space that moves so quickly. I just decided like, look, I'm just going to mint this thing myself on Manifold and do an auction on OpenSea. And I really enjoyed it. I really like, I'm not over here trying to make $1 million. That'd be freaking nice, but that's not at all my focus. I'm just trying to like participate in this. That was a big learning experience for me. But yeah, so, it was an image that I built, that it's digitally built, but clippings are from actual paintings, just like the Cyber Bandits generative project. So that was the focus there. I think I used 2 different paintings to utilize the rendered skull and hands. There's 2 skulls, feet, etc. Those came from paintings, like physical paintings. And yeah, so the winner of the auction got a 24-inch by 24-inch full bleed signed 101 print. They just received it the other day. They're stoked. So like that's all I'm looking for. Everybody to be excited about what I'm doing, and I'm eager to do more of those. Like I've I wish I would have done that last year sometime.
Me
so
too.
Yeah, we'll see. What I can create. The Wisdom Keeper image was one that I kind of had in the bag that I was thinking about jumping in and working on for another 101, but I had just done Goliath, and then I was invited to participate with the Artdrop here. So,
yeah, we love Wisdom Keeper. For folks in the audience that don't know, that's the name of the Artdrop. It's featured on the second tweet up on the Jumbotron there. What since you brought it up, tell us about Wisdom Keeper.
What's cool, we were talking about like my upbringing and whatnot, my childhood, etc. One of the biggest influences on my sort of focus in learning how to draw and paint, etc. was like my dad's vinyl album collection. Sorry. And he was a super heavy metal guy, and classic rock guy. So Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, AC/DC, like super cool graphic,
a lot of great
album
artwork there.
Yeah. There's some pivotal ones that I look back on. I'm just like, man, it's super sick stuff, especially the stuff going through the '80s with like the airbrush movement. Like the work on there is just incredible to this day. So like that's where a lot of like the graphic quality comes from in my style. So it was kind of with the theme of the show, life, death, and what's the other part? The inevitable mortality, right, or something?
Yeah, death and the after.
Yeah, that's it. So just knowing that and like utilizing age as that like connecting factor between your literal representation of being a living body person. You're going to show age, etc. And so I just, thought it would be fun to make an image that represented a used and tattered, aged album cover. So I already knew the title of the NFT, so I just went ahead and made that the fake name of the band, Wisdom Keeper. Made a little fake used price tag, which was fun. You got, obviously got some distressed layering on there. And the image itself, like the blending of the skull and the face, obviously giving a nod to life and death coexisting together. One doesn't exist without the other. Like they define each other in a way. They lean on each other. That whole yin and yang thing. So that's where that image came from, and that actually was first created for a hand-built NFT for the Cyber Bandits project that was randomly in the mix of that 5,000 supply. So people were able to randomly pull that whenever they were minting, a hand built. So that's where that kicked off, and then it inspired a few paintings for my show that I was talking about in New York. So I actually have a few paintings that have that blended skull face merge imagery. And this piece for the Wisdom Keeper piece was actually originally roughly sketched digitally for a painting, but things kind of just shifted while I was finishing everything out, and I just kind of stashed it on the side, which I definitely have a catalog of in a way, and why I was excited whenever I started to first find out about the whole NFT movement, because I utilize Photoshop rendering and sketching for my process to develop the initial format and layout of my paintings, because I really like the loose nature of being able to push color, delete that layer, bring this clip art over, whatever it is. So being able to build an image digitally is a major part of my practice. And not all the time when you're developing a show or solo show and a full body of work do all of the sketches find their way into the final exhibition. So my first NFT was Holy Smokes, and that was a painting that was a sketch for a painting that was supposed to be in my Hidari Zingaro solo in Tokyo, and just didn't make the cut. And I turned it into this thing, worked with the animator, and he animated some cool parts, and it became my first NFT back in 2021.
Yeah, it's a dope one. I don't have a tweet of it that I can pin, but it's in the article that we published about you on Redline. Thank you so much for sharing the process of Wisdom Keeper. As soon as I saw it, I was like, wow, he freaking nailed it. Not only the theme, but the piece itself. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah, he knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and I didn't mention, but it's in the article that the overall format and proportions is exact to the PFP format of the Cyber Bandit project. So I thought that was cool. I thought that it was fun to have that kind of nod and tie in. And the skull, the graphic skull image is one of the skulls in the project as well. The dead man skull. This is the first one with devil horns, which is fun. Which I think was more of a nod to the heavy metal album stuff more than anything.
Yeah. It's totally killer. Yeah, I didn't have anything in my mind before I saw your piece, but you totally surprised me with the vinyl album cover approach. I was not expecting you to do that, and I it just goes so well. And the fact that it's worn and it's looks like something you'd find at a used record store. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Many thanks for that. Well, we've mentioned Cyber Bandits a few times. I don't know. I definitely see some PFPs in the audience, and appreciate all of you joining. We'll give you a chance to come up and ask questions towards the end here. But why don't you tell the rest of us who aren't Cyber Bandit owners about the project?
So last year in late June, we launched my first generative PFP project. Again, 5,000 supply, and it was like it's a great project, especially if you were already familiar with my style. I feel like because so many people were coming to me talking about the PFP projects because of the paintings that I've been working on for like years, and it's almost as if like these projects, these PFP projects, were created for my art because it just fits so perfectly. Um, like my work, I use a lot of regurgitated imagery, and there's a lot that goes into that. Why I do that, a lot of it goes back to graffiti. You know, you regurgitate the same name and you're just punching it out there. The goal is just to kind of get out there and go through the process, get your name up. And so, there's a lot of the same dude head and the same hands being regurgitated, but it all falls within the same vessel shape of the figure that I've kind of, defined as, being the my kind of character shape, this Russian nesting doll type of shape, or this like, bowling pin type of shape. So to be able to take that, whenever we started working on this project, I was able to go back and pull from paintings 5 years ago. As long as the resolution was high enough, I could pull from it and bring it back into the current. So, the project, I worked with Mike Mitchell, an artist who I respect, and he was one of the first guys like to, bring up that I needed to try and make a project like this. And we teamed up with Jacob DeHart, who's in the audience. I see he's the wizard webmaster code dude that created the generator that really honestly made the project happen. There's a lot of stuff that happened with the imagery of each bandit solely because that generator was able to do it. So we're not quite yet up to a year since we dropped, but we've already had one print redemption period, which is focused around one of the utilities, which is the print pass. So what you could have done, before the snapshot, which was last year, you could have collected a minimum of 10 cyber bandits, and at the snapshot, you would have received a print pass NFT. So if you had 50 cyber bandits, you would get 5 print passes, etc. And then you have a window print redemption period, which right now we're in the second phase of that print redemption period, and you get to use and burn that print pass to convert it into your own cyber bandit of your choice from your collection print. That's a 101 24-inch by 24-inch print. So that's one of the utilities. That's the one that we've mainly been focusing on. We've got the vault coming up next pretty soon here. That's going to be a fun one where people get to try to go to the vault online, designated space online, and connect your wallet and try to see if your bandits have what it takes to crack the vault. And inside the vault, if you're able to crack the vault, you will find out what you were able to steal from it. And inside there will be a slew of stuff ranging from physical, legitimate, 101 prints, paintings, NFTs, you name it. And that's going to be an ongoing utility, hopefully, where like the print pass, that has an end date. We've got the second print redemption window happening right now, and then there's a third one later this year. Mm-hmm. So once that's done, then that's all the prints that will be printed from this project, unless I decide that I want to print one or two or whatever and put in the vault, etc.
I was looking at the audience earlier, and I was seeing all these cyber bandit PFP some of the people are using, and I was like, "What is this? What is this? It's all in your style," but I couldn't piece it together. But while you were talking, I bought a Cyber Bandit,
Oh,
so I
nice.
am part of the gang too.
Oh, thanks so much. Welcome, man.
Woo!
Welcome.
And
Yeah.
I found another one. It's above floor, and I think I'm sniping that one. It looks really dope.
Nice. Yeah, yeah. There's the project's been very rewarding for me as an artist. As it was a breath of fresh air.
Hmm.
Honestly, I get so immersed in the studio and my practice as a physical painter. I'm definitely a studio rat, 7 days a week, just like grinding, trying to make stuff, with my hands, and to be able to, seemingly collaborate with a computer generator to crank out 5,000 versions of my characters. It was just, to say it was refreshing is an understatement. Like
Well,
I, like I,
that's the thing with PFPs, and I noticed it with Dudley when we were designing the Red Lions. That like after the first wave of scams and like bad PFPs and disgusting art, like the artists and a lot of good artists gravitated towards it and approached it as like an art medium.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that says a lot about the true artists in the scene, honestly, because we're here until a nuclear bomb takes us out. We're going to be making stuff.
Yeah, because like after the hype,
Yeah,
all the good PFPs came after the hype, like aesthetically and like the good ideas from artists. So yeah, I love
absolutely.
it, man,
I mean,
and I
it's
love to support your project and be a part of it.
Oh, thanks so much. I mean, when we dropped the project last June, we were in a little bit of a crypto crash, and like everybody's dumping and whatnot. I think Ethereum was floating around like $1,000 or something like that,
Hmm.
and everybody's like,
Yeah, but
going,
this is also part of the fun. You will be looking back at it in like a year or so, or whenever you will be like sitting up top on the top of the world, and you'll be like, "Yeah, you remember we were struggling,
yeah,
and we launched it, and Ethereum crashed."
yeah, there wasn't at that time there wasn't like a whole lot of hype that we could build up around it, regardless of like my reach on Instagram or the artists that we had participating with collaborative bandits or anything like that. Like it just because of the fear and everything that was pumping into the space, like everybody was reluctant to like jump in on it like they were any other project, regardless of how bad the art was. But what occurred was this amazing like 7-8 day period of minting the project. It took about I want to say about 8 days. I can't really remember, but it's like 7 or 8 days total to mint out the project. But it was freaking incredible. Like the Discord, like I was bummed when it ended. Like I was stoked that we minted out, but I was bummed that I couldn't go back to the mint machine and see what was going to pop out, because every one of them was just, it was so fun, so much fun for the community, and the community just like came together and just like didn't really have much of a Discord community before the project. I was kind of working on it a little bit, but like once the project kicked off and we had that full week, everybody just having a blast, like trading bandits and trying to get back to the mint machine and see what was
And
going to
this
pop
gives
out.
you a
Yeah,
good like energy. You understand, oh fuck, this
totally.
is it, man. I need the community. This is it. Like this is
Yes.
the way to make art, right?
Oh, totally, totally. I mean, there that can't be underscored enough. There's so much value in that, especially when you look around like the other social media realms. I've got a pretty decent Instagram following, but like systematically over the past like 5 years, I've just seen my reach to the people that are following me and that are following me because they like what I do. I can't get my posts out in front of them, and it just becomes less and less and less. And Instagram wants me to make, boosted posts and all this stuff. And so, whenever I found out about Discord, which obviously I knew about Discord, but I didn't, there's a big learning curve with using it. So like whenever I had my very first Genesis Cyber Bandit drop, I was like, I really need to build a space, do my best to build like a community where we can get like some official safe links for people. And that Genesis drop was back in February of last year. and that's where I kind of felt out some of the shapes and the forms of the characters. That was totally made 100% with the PFP project in mind. So once I did that, I learned so much. I really like Legend, the marketplace, I guess you could say, the group that I launched it with. But they definitely had their problems. It was on their website, and so not everything's like was minted through them, and so now it's difficult to search my stuff. It's really weird. So it had its problems, but I'm very thankful for it.
You can create your own marketplace for your collections with Rarible. You can create your own marketplace. It's really cool. So you can bring all your work from all your platforms and all of that under one roof, browsable, how you want it to be accessed with the royalties that you want. It's really cool.
Yeah, definitely.
So much tech now. You don't even need to rely on anyone else. It's pretty amazing. I just wanted to jump in and say what you're talking about Discord. I mean, like as a collector, as someone who likes art, that's one of the best things about Web3 is like this ability to hang out with the artists. Like you're active in the Discord, you're joking around, you're talking about your art. I love it, and really appreciate having that opportunity.
Yeah, and the daily connection with the artist, like you see a little glimpse into their life. You spend time daily, right?
Yeah, it's fun. On from my perspective as well. To kind of have like this group of people to kind of test ideas off of. Like maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm not trying
the
to
fame game also is changing, right? Like it's not like the Hollywood model, like the star never appears, only before the movie, and then it's only privacy. Now if you want to become famous, you need to be online all the time, and people need to know who you really are.
Yeah, but again, like I spent so many years in the studio solo, so it's been refreshing to be able to take a break and jump on Discord and see what everybody else is doing, and it's fun that it's all kind of like focused around one of my projects, and it's still very much a learning experience. I'm a noob to this day with the whole thing. I've definitely been able to isolate a little bit of knowledge in the space. I feel a little bit better about what I'm talking about. But when I stepped in here, I was
you'll
like,
get there, man. It's a marathon, not a sprint. We are also doing guides and whatever we can to educate the people. But I wanted to jump back to the street art you mentioned. As DJ said, he's also a street art buff, but so am I, and I'm also obsessed with it. I could really connect with what you were saying earlier, the obsession about like tags, because like I was living with a friend of mine in Portugal, and he was a serious writer, and we would go like night missions and shit. So I love it. We just put our lions on the Brooklyn wall. There is a big mural with NFTs, and we got like the biggest spot there.
Oh, nice.
And we put our lions. And in general, I believe that NFTs and street art is something that is very well linked, because street art was the ultimate protest against, galleries and all of that. And as an exhibition, it's identical to the NFTs. It's like public display, private ownership, and this is exactly how NFTs are. So it belongs to the artist, like the artist made it, but it's displayed publicly.
Right.
I like in the case of like art, street art, you can say it doesn't belong to the artist anymore, like it belongs to everybody. So but yeah, you can own an NFT privately and display it publicly. It's a beautiful thing. I would love to connect you with Masna, man, the dude who takes care of the wall. It's his project, and he's also a muralist and connected with a lot of artists that do that. And I know a lot of writers. Definitely, we will keep up.
Please.
I will link you up.
Yeah, I'd really like that. I mean, after the pandemic, I had I think like 3 mural walls lined up for 2020, and the pandemic just ruined all of that for that year. And then everybody kind of loosely rescheduled everything for 2021, but then all of that started to kind of get chopped up as well because people were a little scared. Like the levels of COVID, et cetera. They were, the one event after another was just dropping out. And then I moved back to Dallas that year, so I've just been focused on solo shows and whatnot in the literal gallery exhibition scene. So I'm eager to get back out and get some walls for outside for folks to see.
That would be awesome. Are you going to be in New York next week?
Next week? I don't believe so.
Okay. It's
NFT, yeah, NYC.
Oh, see if you can make it. We are throwing a nice event. It would be really cool if you could join.
I mean,
Brad, are we going to go out to? Yeah, it would be great. And we could go check out the Red Line wall in Brooklyn, right?
Yeah. Maybe he can paint on the wall. I don't know. Masna allows other writers to be part of the project. It's not like he only paints on the wall, but they are selling brick by brick. You can buy bricks and then you can put like your PFP there, but no logos, no stuff like that, right?
Oh, interesting. I need to know more about this. This sounds really interesting.
Yeah, you can also sell a mural like that yourself. It is a very cool idea.
Yeah, that reminds me of like that particle NFT project with the Banksy piece that they divided up into like 10,000 pieces or something. Pretty cool.
Yeah, but it's different because it's actually utility. I mean, like for us, like I saw it this way. We paid like around 10K for like a huge spot on that mural. But the owner of the establishment loves it because he doesn't get graffiti anymore. They have anti-graffiti paint, and the property is raising in value, and now is famous worldwide. So this is the most famous mural now, yeah. And you have a lot of interviews and stuff like that in front of it. So for me, as a builder, like I don't know, if we take a billboard, it costs like 10K per day.
Right.
So putting the lions there in Brooklyn, I don't know, for however long it lasts, it feels like a good move,
Yeah, definitely. What's the scale of that wall that you got? The section.
I think it's about 6 feet by I would say 5 feet, 6 by 6, something like that.
Okay.
Cool. So on the top level, yeah, and it will be Dudley and I with our lions side by side.
Nice. Very
it's gonna be cool. Yeah.
Very cool.
But you can also buy a few bricks, and you can put your cyber bandits up there in Brooklyn. I can connect you with Masna, and you can have it ready even before NFT NYC. Or even better, you can buy the space and paint them yourself. That would be also amazing. I think you would be down for that.
Yeah. Please do link me up, man. I'd appreciate that.
For sure. I think there's a good fit here.
So cool. It's definitely better than a billboard, I'll say that.
Oh, yeah.
Money well spent. Well,
yeah.
We're past the 1 hour mark, so I definitely wanted to give everyone in the audience a chance to come up, ask some questions. Feel free to raise your hand. I'll get the giveaway machine rolling as well. Many thanks to everyone in the audience for coming out and listening.
Big shout out, guys. It's very nice to see all of you with your amazing PFPs from so many communities coming here and listening to these wonderful chats. And it's great to also I come in touch with for example, I didn't know about cyber bandits, and now I'm also a cyber bandit already.
Super excited. Thank you. That's super cool. Thank you, dude.
Yeah, one of their tags is it's the art collectors PFP, which I think is spot on. I
that's a fun one. Like one of the collectors, the holders, like came up with that. We're like that one's gonna stick. We're gonna have to run with that, see how well it does.
It's so good. It's so good. Was that a Giant Collection that did that?
No, it was someone else, but a Giant Collection definitely was like, I think gave the highlight on it, and then I was like, yeah. You're right about that.
That's so cool.
Can't remember who had it.
Spit Funko Lips. He might know, or she might know. I don't know. I don't want to assume gender here. Welcome,
gentlemen, ladies. Thanks for putting this on, man. This is really cool. Reader, great to hear. Great to hear from you. Your perspective. Your background as an artist. I, admittedly came in a little late to the project. Like I was able to mint one of the last few days that it was still minting, and I had honestly never heard of
Right.
you before or your artwork. I'm a musician, and in the music world, we cross paths with a lot of
Did you
different
find
artists,
him
but
through the Gazette? Did you find him through
so
Red
I don't
Lion?
look. I was speaking to one of you guys. I've been following Red Lion basically since your inception, and I don't know how or why, but I've always felt, it's just being online, I guess, enough and following enough artists and musicians, and you end up crossing paths, especially with what you guys do with the Gazette and having so many different arms under the Red Lion name. I definitely, I knew of you guys, and then I kind of found Reader separately. Maybe probably through another artist when you guys were minting, was just talking about the project. But I obviously right away fell in love with the visuals, your
But we
colors.
had a little hand in it. We had a little hand in it, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not gonna neither confirm or deny that, but I'll say it's definitely.
Thank you. I'll take it.
I honestly want to say it was probably Anthony Hurd. Like I think he had shared something, and but
Right.
when you like, there's so many things you said that resonated with me, and I could probably, I'd love to sit and talk with you for hours over a drink, but obviously I know you're short time here, but as an artist myself, like like you said, like your concepts really start with the medium and the color, and I think that really comes through with your work. Like it almost doesn't matter some of the imagery. It's like you're really the emotion you pull with the layering, and a lot of your your layers. I noticed the see through and the combinations and the way they create new colors and the way the colors work with each other. They're spit out of the generator.
Right.
Like I kind of wondered, as just like, did you curate those pieces? Like, I'm sure you did some test runs with the generator, decided what you thought worked, what didn't,
Oh, yeah.
and then throw things out, right? Like, I wonder if you could just tell us a little bit of that process.
Well, yeah, we, to make sure that the generator was kind of set up and ready to go, and there wasn't too many conflicting elements. We definitely, Mike Mitchell and I definitely went through. He definitely went through more than me, and I appreciate him doing that. But God, I don't know how many sets of 5,000 we pumped out of the gym until we felt comfortable, after adjusting conflicts and shifting things around and making sure it felt okay. And then we pulled the 5,000 and then did like a light scan to make sure there wasn't anything like truly conflicting. And then we would pull those out and then drop another, generated PFP in there, banded in there. So we weren't going through there and like curating much, man, like at all, because I think that takes a lot out of the whole thing. And that for me as the artist, the fun is seeing the funky stuff that I never would have really even thought to put together. So we tried to not like mess that up at all. Like, so you're not looking at a curated collection of 5,000 by any stretch. You are looking at a really well defined and cleaned up generator with my imagery. Because there was like not quite a few, but there were some specific combos of traits that were problematic that we still liked. And so we wanted to not fully conflict them out of the generator. We wanted them to be there and be a part of the process, the randomized process. But that also means that we had to go in there and make sure that, one thing wasn't doubling up on another and doing something that wasn't as aesthetically appealing or didn't meet my standards,
Yeah, that you can tell. I've been a part of a lot of different projects. I've been around, at least for the last couple of years, maybe several. But you could see some that maybe weren't as well thought out, and it's so cool to see these projects from like a real artist. Not that all art isn't from some sort of real artist, obviously, but from someone that's been doing it as long as you have, with such a focus in what you do, and to be able to see a generator with someone behind it that has like real intention, It just seems like everything goes together.
Well, I mean,
so
like,
well.
well, what's worth noting here is, again, like, I had to lean heavily on another artist who ran with the generator a few times already with his own projects. So he was familiar with its capabilities. There was already adjustment periods to the generator. I don't know what version generator I was able to work with, but I can't say enough about that. Like Mike knew exactly how to make the glow and the dark stuff function. So we had like a whole like copied generator where like the entire thing was pretty much ready to rock and roll. It was right at the tail end of everything, and he just copied the generator and then adjusted everything to where the entire generator was running as a glow in the dark version. It's not as refined as the main generator version, but I was super stoked that he was able to do that, because I did the one Metroid hand built Bandit, and so I kind of stumbled onto the glow in the dark look of the skull and the hand. And I knew from his project, the visitors, he had the whole like glow in the dark thing, and he was just like, yeah, say no more, and just like boom, boom, like within like a day, just like sending me images of bandits that were legitimately glowing in the dark, looking as though they were perfect glow in the dark representations. And I was just so stoked. And I mean, as you might even being at the tail end of the minting, you might remember how pumped everybody was to like try and pull a glow in the dark bandit. It was one of the things people were trying to pull from. Even myself, I minted a glow in the dark. I still got it to this day. I'm never getting rid of that thing.
Yeah, that's so cool that you say that. I do remember that, because I was pretty bummed that I wasn't able to mint a glow in the dark, so I had to get one on secondary. But obviously, art is so cool like that when the community it creates with other artists, and we always pull from each other, especially musicians. Like, you can't really make albums on your own. I mean, you can, but they're usually anemic, and it's not until
Right.
you start to collaborate that you really draw life out of the music and find. And something that you said that really stuck with me is, it's those mistakes that you make along the way that kind of give things life and give things creativity, especially with jazz. Like, a lot of music that I love, I grew up playing
Oh yeah.
punk music, right? And like, most of that, you don't have great skills, and it's kind of just the vibe, to a degree, and the energy. But then, I started to fall in love with older, sort of types of jazz and just looser music. And it's those notes, the wrong notes are the notes that you remember. Those are the ones that make it come alive. And definitely noticed that, when you said that about your artwork and keeping yourself, you don't want to get too comfortable. I love the thought of that when you're creating art.
Yeah.
And so I did.
Yeah, you gotta remain in a vulnerable type of space, and that way things can kind of stumble in front of you, and then you get to like decide whether or not it's going to stay in the mix or not. And it also is like life kind of like in real time showing you another kind of option that's been at your fingertips the whole time, that you were too focused on your own direction. I personally have major tunnel vision. So like for these things to like kind of haphazardly like occur, like they're literally like gold to me, literally. Like I love when something happens and I'm like, there it is, like I'm going to try to like harness that somehow, and then I start trying to find ways to bring that into my general practice. Like from and again, that's why I was talking about leaning on mediums, because the materials, you only have so much control of them. And the more and more you use them, like you're saying, you're going to get more and more dialed with your song and making this type of music or this track, etc. And it's like you got to find a way to bring that freshness back into it. And it's not so easy to do, and it's not always there ready to respond and work with you or work for you. It's like this thing that ebbs and flows in real time, and that's a big reason why I'm in the studio 7 days a week. I feel like if I'm in there chipping away periodically every single day, if I can, I'm giving myself more and more opportunity to kind of like find the new stuff and keep progressing forward. Like as artists, music, visual, fine art, whatever, we look to the past, for the greats and other peers, what's been created, even your own work. But we're always like pushing forward for progress, like just like head to the stone, just going forward. And I think that was one of when I was talking about this, PFP project with the bandits and stuff, like it was so refreshing because I get to use my stuff, my style that I've been developing in an entirely new medium. And it's just, like I can't even put a dollar amount on the value of that. Like I was pulling imagery from this project that developed while making it and back around full circle into physical paintings for my solo show in New York. Like, I mean, like you're going to place a dollar amount on that painting, but like it doesn't equate to the
How
true
can I
value.
get into those prints that you said? Do I need to get a mint pass?
Yeah, you need to grab a print pass. That's available on the secondary. There's definitely a couple that are available right now, and it's a finite number. It's set, and they're
What's the
definitely.
collection called? What's the mint pass collection called?
It's I think. Hold on, let me make sure.
It's Cyber Bandits Print Pass. Yeah. And Red, you should know. Well, anyone in the audience that's considering doing this, you can only print a bandit once.
Yeah, it's a 101.
Yeah. So
if you look up Cyber Bandit Print Pass, like that's it. I can definitely get you a link or whatever. Let me see. There's
passes.
there's one that's available right now for like 0.3, and that gets you a physical signed 101 print of one of your bandits. So it's yours. So you got the the ownership of the NFT. It does not burn the bandit. The NFT, you get to keep that if you want. You can sell that if you want. You can trade it, whatever, and then you have your print, or you can keep both. But there is metadata marking on.
I want the print to receive it live from you. You sign it there for me, and then I put it on my wall. That's what I'd like.
I could do it.
We will think it like that.
It is worth noting, though, for those listening that might want to know that when the print pass is redeemed for a specific bandit, that cyber bandit will shift and show a marking in the traits metadata that it has been printed. So if you're collecting, if you haven't collected any cyber bandits yet and you're stoked to get into it, and you have the specific intentions of finding a bandit that you want to print, make sure that it hasn't already been printed, because that would be a bummer.
So there is 175 items on mint passes, and will you bring out mint passes later on? Again?
The print passes, no, this is it. That way we're not exhausting the market with them. They maintain their value. There, a lot of people went through a lot of trouble to gain this print pass to print. But it doesn't mean that there's not more stuff on the horizon. So like that's the exciting part.
I love it. I love it because this connects very well with your traditional work, with your physical work. So it's like not only you get the PFP, which is an NFT from you, you can use the PFP and it's a beautiful artwork, but you get a physical. So, and since you are also a very well recognized physical artist, and there's only going to be 175 of them, I think that's really cool. And
there's only your print is a 101, so like that's the coolest part. I didn't even really have any 101 prints available, period, before this project. Maybe a couple of like 101 test prints that didn't actually get released or anything like that, but this is the first time really releasing prints that it's not an edition. You're not one of 250, which, most of my print editions range from like 100 to like 250. So, you've got a really unique thing.
That is so cool. I didn't know that. Well, I just claimed my first one this week. I'm getting a glow in the dark printed.
Oh, sick.
I had to pick that bad boy up off secondary, but I'm looking forward to that. So great.
And just so you know, like we're currently tomorrow ends the current print pass redemption window. and then we'll do one more final phase in a few months.
Okay.
So if you don't have the opportunity to,
what time tomorrow does that end?
Go ahead.
Because I need to know so I can try to bully Rufio into selling me one of his PFPs.
We've got it planned for about noon Central, Standard Time or whatever. But it's a loose thing. We're just gonna, close it off tomorrow at some point. But if you're a regular in the Discord,
what's closing tomorrow?
The print pass redemption window for you to be able to redeem your print pass for a print. That's tomorrow. But
so I can go and redeem a print pass with my Cyber Bandit if it hasn't redeemed yet.
Exactly.
Oh, where is that?
That is at cyber-bandits.com/prints.
All right.
Print. Yeah. I can get you all the specific links. There's, we've got links in the Cyber Bandits Twitter, all that stuff. But it's just worth noting that this is just the second print pass redemption window. We have one more final one if you can't make it happen by tomorrow. So there's no major rush, unless you're in a rush to get a print in your hands.
Fantastic. No. Just to get the. Oh shit! That bandit that didn't have a print pass.
Well, Red, we'll have to get you in the Cyber Bandits Discord.
Yeah, we can walk you through it. Yeah, we can walk you through it, man. It's hard to kind of lay it all out right here, but it's we can do it.
Well, my anxiety levels right now are over the top. I'm super busy with everything. I hope I have some time to jump in and figure this out. Otherwise, I will definitely do it after New York.
Yeah. We got another round coming up, so no rush.
Fantastic.
Yeah, Red, you should definitely jump in the Discord. One thing I will say for Michael and his Discord is everyone in there is really cool, super helpful. A lot of other artists, and I'm in a lot of Discords in and out throughout the day. I drive around for work, and I have some time to kill. And it's mostly people shit posting and messing with you and sending you scam links, and I haven't gotten much of that in the Cyber Bandits.
Yeah,
so really
good.
Cool.
Glad to hear that.
Absolutely.
Glad to hear that. Yeah, I really appreciate my admins and my my moderators in the Discord. They're invaluable. They're huge. There's great supporters, holders, collectors of the bandits and my physical paintings, and it's a great source to get heads up on other things regarding my work as well. It's not just Cyber Bandit related, even though it's heavy on the Cyber Bandits. It's not just that.
Yeah, I'd never heard of Mash Cow either until I found your project, and I started following his work. And it's insane, my God, dude! I've never seen that.
Insanity.
Like it's
crazy. I mean, like it was that was a weird one for me because like I've been aware of his tattoo work. He's a painter and artist as well, but like his tattoo work, just him being able to do that on people is just insane. And then I had a collector of mine. He texted me a pic of the the tattoo gun table, the stainless steel tattoo table of his, and it had like one of my stickers on it. I was like, are you shitting me? Like I was so pumped. And then like I like reached out to him, we were chatting, and so like I definitely had to like touch base with him. He has a NFT project as well, just so you know.
Yeah, I did. I saw that. I forget what happened. I remember I was about to mint it's a while back, and I never did. I'm going to check back in with that. But yeah, it's cool. Like just to be able to connect with other artists through you and finding you and your community has been really cool. So I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys for putting on this space with Redline, and we'll definitely be following everything you guys do as well. I appreciate you having me up. I got to get back to work, so I'm going to jump down, but I'm going to try to listen to the rest.
Yeah. Thanks for chiming in.
Absolutely. Appreciate it.
Take care, man. Thanks for coming in.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you. And while you've been talking, I actually ran the giveaway and Spit Funko Lips. You actually are the winner of one of the bandits.
Let's go.
I'll Yeah, let's go. So much appreciated. I'll DM you later today, and the winner of an NFT from my personal collection is JM Merles.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations, man.
Nice.
And the
Yeah.
crowd goes, "Wah!"
Ah.
Amazing. Well done.
This has been awesome. Really appreciate everyone's time today.
Yeah.
Michael, it's been great talking to you. Thank you again for
Of
this
course.
amazing art drop. Folks, if you're interested in the art drop and you haven't gotten it yet, you can mint a Gazette this week. It's only $25, and then you get the art drop for free. But you got to mint the Gazette this week in order to get the art drop. Wisdom Keeper, which is just a killer album.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
You
Well,
get
thanks so much for
amazing
having
work by an amazing artist, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Seriously, I've already said it many times, but I appreciate you, everyone, inviting me to participate and being able to like put this spaces on and highlight the cyber bandits and whatnot. So huge thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming in, man.
Yeah, cool.
All right. Well, thank you again. Thank you, Red. Thank you, Red Lion. Thank you, everyone who joined us today. It's been great. I don't know if we're going to have our outro music due to technical difficulties, so we'll just rock out at home or wherever you may be, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, we'll have it. Take good care, everyone. Have a good one. Bye-bye.